Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to welcome you all today. Thank you for being here. Today, we're going to explore the theme of greetings and farewells. On this first slide, you'll see the title and subtitle, setting the stage for our discussion. Over the course of this presentation, we'll look at different ways to start and end conversations effectively, whether in professional or casual settings. We'll also share some practical tips and examples to help you communicate more confidently. But for now, let's get started and dive into the fascinating world of greetings and farewells. Welcome to this lesson. Today, we're going to focus on some essential greetings and goodbyes that you'll use in everyday conversations. We'll start with how to greet someone properly, which is the first step in making a good impression. Then, we'll move on to asking and answering the question, "How are you?" A common way to show interest and connect with others. Lastly, we'll cover different ways to say goodbye, so you can end conversations politely and confidently. These skills are fundamental because they help set a friendly tone and build rapport, no matter who you're talking to. Remember, mastering these basics is the foundation for more advanced communication later on. So, let's get started and have some fun practicing these everyday expressions. Now, let's take a closer look at the structure of this part of our presentation. First, we have expressions. These are the common phrases or ways of speaking that we want to focus on. They really form the foundation for effective communication and help us sound more natural. Next, we move on to vocabulary. This is about the specific words that are used within those expressions or in related contexts. Building a strong vocabulary allows us to be more precise and confident when we speak. Finally, we come to expressions in context. This is where everything comes together. We'll see how these expressions are actually used in real-life situations, which helps us understand their meaning and proper usage better. Connecting all of this back to our overall goal, improving our conversational skills, understanding expressions, expanding our vocabulary, and practicing their use in context are essential steps. They make our communication more fluent, natural, and impactful. Now let's move on to part 1, which focuses on expressions. It's important to listen carefully to each greeting before trying it out yourself. This way, you'll get a good sense of the pronunciation and tone. After you repeat the expression, listen to it again to reinforce your learning. We'll start with some common ways to greet someone. First, we have good evening. This is typically used in the evening or at night, and it's a polite way to acknowledge someone at that time of day. Next, there's good morning, which, as you might guess, is used in the early part of the day, usually until noon. Then we have simply hello, which is versatile and can be used at any time of day when you meet someone. And finally, hi, which is a more casual greeting, perfect for informal situations or when you're speaking with friends or colleagues. Remember, the key here is to practice these expressions with the correct pronunciation and intonation. They are basic but vital tools for starting conversations and making good first impressions. As we go through these, keep in mind how these greetings fit into the broader theme of effective communication. Now let's look at some common ways to ask and respond to the question, "How are you?" When someone asks you, "How are you?" there are a few typical responses you can use, depending on how you're feeling or the context. For example, you might say, "Nothing much," which is a casual way of saying you're doing okay and not experiencing anything special. Or you could say, "I'm all right," which is a simple, neutral response that shows you're doing fine. Another common reply is "pretty good," or simply "fine, thanks," which indicates you're doing well and appreciate their concern. On the question side, you might hear or use phrases like "what's up?" or "how's it going?" These are more informal ways to ask about someone's well-being or what's happening in their life. They serve as a friendly, conversational approach to checking in. The key thing to remember is that these greetings are often used as social rituals, and responses can vary from very casual to slightly more detailed, depending on your relationship with the person and the situation. By understanding these different expressions, you'll be better equipped to engage naturally and confidently in everyday conversations. This connects to the overall theme of improving your communication skills, helping you sound more fluent and comfortable in various social settings. Now, as we come to the end of our conversation, it's important to know some polite and friendly ways to say goodbye. When it's time to part ways, you might say good night, which is a warm and courteous way to wish someone well as the day ends. It's especially common in the evening or before going to sleep. Another phrase you can use is, well, I have to go now. This signals that you're politely ending the interaction, and it's a natural way to let someone know you're leaving without being abrupt. You might also say, see you later, which is a friendly, casual way to express that you'll reconnect sometime soon. It's a great phrase to keep the door open for future conversations. And of course, simply saying goodbye is a classic, straightforward way to conclude a chat. It works in almost any situation and maintains a respectful tone. All these phrases are useful tools for ending conversations politely and warmly, which is essential whether you're in a social setting or a professional one. They help leave a positive impression and keep communication friendly. Remember, saying goodbye politely is just as important as the greeting itself. Now let's move on to part 2, which focuses on vocabulary. This slide introduces some common words and phrases that are essential for everyday conversations. You'll notice words like night, evening, afternoon, and morning. These help us talk about different times of the day. Understanding these time-related words is fundamental because they often come up in daily interactions. Next, we see words like good, well, thanks, and fine. These are useful for greeting people and responding politely. For example, saying good morning or thanks shows good manners and helps build rapport. There are also phrases like I see, which is a common way to show understanding during a conversation. Words such as and, much, nothing, and all right are basic connectors or responses that keep the dialogue flowing smoothly. Then we have personal pronouns like I and you, which are the building blocks of most sentences. Knowing how to use these correctly is crucial for clear communication. You'll also notice phrases like I'm, pretty, thanks, fine, and are you, which are often used in everyday exchanges. For instance, I'm pretty good or thanks and you. Finally, there's now and to go, which relate to time and movement, helping us talk about current situations or plans. Overall, these words and phrases are the foundation for basic conversations, and mastering them will greatly improve your ability to communicate naturally in English. Remember, the key is to practice using these words in context so they become second nature. Now let's move on to our final part, which is about expressions in context. Here, you'll hear some common greetings and farewells used in everyday conversations. As I read these dialogues, pay close attention to how these expressions are used naturally in different situations. For example, good morning is typically used when greeting someone at the start of the day, while see you later and bye are casual ways to say goodbye. Notice how hello and how are you serve as friendly ways to start a conversation. Recognizing these expressions and understanding their context will help you sound more natural and confident when speaking English. Remember, mastering these everyday phrases is key to building smooth, real-world communication skills. So, listen carefully and think about how you can incorporate these expressions into your own conversations.